Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another NBA news video to be going over with you guys. This time actually revolving around the New Orleans Pelicans and Mike D'Antoni, with it actually currently being reported they have somewhat of interest in actually signing him to be their next head coach. This is actually being reported by Danny LaRox, I think that's how you pronounce his name. But yeah, for those of you who didn't know as well, it's been officially confirmed by Woj at least a week or so ago now at this point that the Pelicans have fired Alvin Gentry, and I just feel like that made the most amount of sense. I do think that Alvin Gentry is not exactly the worst coach. He's actually been pretty decent since he's been, in the NBA coaching the New Orleans Pelicans. But I just feel like he could be one of those guys that is just very, very efficient as the #1 assistant coach on an NBA team. Now, there is still, hope before we get into all the Mike D'Antoni news. There is still hope for Alvin Gentry to potentially get another job as a head coach. I believe the Philadelphia 76ers could fire Brett Brown after this series, especially considering at the time making this video, they're actually 3-0, 3-0 down against the Celtics. Again, when this video comes out, they could have gotten a game over the Celtics, or they could have even been just swept. I'm not exactly too sure, but either way, I feel like Brett Brown could be actually getting fired, and if he doesn't get fired, then I honestly believe Alvin Gentry will be named the #1 assistant coach for Philadelphia, potentially, just based on the fact that then once Brett Brown potentially gets fired, then Alvin Gentry could then become the head coach of the team. So I actually don't think it's all bad for Alvin Gentry that he was pretty much fired / let go from the New Orleans Pelicans. If anything, it's actually a positive, as he can potentially, restart his career as head coach at a different, team, and the Sixers might be that potential team. But when it does come to Mike D'Antoni, there has been a lot of rumors that the Houston Rockets haven't liked what, he's been able to do for the last couple of years, and they felt like they should have won a championship by now. Look, I don't necessarily think they're going to fire him, but I think he will be coming out of contract, so it would be more of a, not necessarily fire, but more of so they might not offer him a contract, or it could be a mutual parting ways where he could just, potentially want to join a different team, because he doesn't feel like he's going to be able to coach the Rockets to the championship that they probably should have maybe won by now. But yeah, the Rockets have come close very, a lot of times, and at the time of making this video, they're 2-1 on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and yeah, they've actually been doing very well in that series, and they haven't had their second best player in Russell Westbrook, and James Harden's actually been pretty good for them, as of making this video. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how they could go. Let's just say that some way or somehow the Houston Rockets actually do win a championship, then I definitely believe Mike D'Antoni will be staying as the head coach at the Houston Rockets. And let's just say they do potentially make it to the finals or come close to the finals. I definitely think they could actually potentially look to keep him on, considering they've only had a small ball, done the small ball experiment now for a little bit. And I feel like if they could go out there and sign, potentially a couple of other small ball players that could shoot threes, or even, a small ball center like Tristan Thompson that's developing his jumper and getting better as a 3-point shooter, I feel like they could definitely contend again next season. So yeah, they might not want to look to fire Mike D'Antoni yet, but either way, if he actually does get fired, or it's a mutual part ways or whatever, if he just leaves or something like that, I feel like the Pelicans could be a very interesting one for him to potentially go to. Now, it does look like Mike D'Antoni, for the most part in his career, has been more of an offensive-minded coach. I definitely think that the Pelicans do have a lot of defensive type of aspects in their game, but maybe that's a good thing. Like, we've seen him coach the Rockets and the Knicks, and they've had a couple of nice defenders on both teams, but for the most part, they've been pretty offensive heavy. And based on the fact that, because he's an offensive, coach and all this type of stuff, he can't exactly teach them defense or anything like that. He's just been able to teach them better offense and run his system proficiency and all of that type of stuff. But maybe if he was actually able to go to a team that's already very well established with defense, aka the New Orleans Pelicans, then he could show them his offensive way and his, offensive system proficiency, and then they could be an elite defensive and offensive team. So maybe that's actually the missing key potentially for Mike D'Antoni to actually go win a championship. And yeah, they have been pretty good defensively. I mean, their starting point guard, Alonzo Ball, is definitely an above-average defender. Drew Holiday is an elite defender in the league. I mean, he's literally 6'3", 191 centimeters, guarding the shooting guard position, and sometimes goes and guards that small forward, and has been literally elite the whole entire season. You also got Brandon Ingram, who's probably about average right now, but at 6'7" at small forward, and with the length and reach that he has definitely shown he could be a very good defender in this league, and I think he could actually very much turn into one in the future. At power forward, they also have Zion Williamson, who can be a little bit inconsistent sometimes, but for the most part is possibly an above average defender. And then you got Derek Favors, who's an okay defender at center. He's not really anything too special. Similar with Jackson Hayes, who's actually been a pretty good defender so far in his short NBA career. But yeah, they are definitely very, very good defensively. I just think if you were, if Mike D'Antoni was to get hired as the New Orleans Pelicans head coach, considering I believe they'll have another top 10 pick, I think, or maybe it's just outside of the top 10, and they will have another, maybe some other players they could go out and try and trade for. He definitely will have a lot of, offensive players to kind of work with on the New Orleans Pelicans. So I think it would make would kind of be a pretty interesting one for him to go with. Of course, it's similar with Ty Lue. I talked about it in the Ty Lue video. If you guys haven't seen that, I highly recommend checking it out. It was actually when the Pelicans are also interested in Ty Lue and Jason Kidd to become their head coach. I believe it's a very similar thing because Ty Lue can't really teach defense or anything like that. He's mainly an offensive coach, and I talked about in that video as well how I don't really like the Ty Lue one, but I definitely think there could be an aspect for him to as well come in and be, teach them some more offensive stuff, his offensive system. But I have a strong feeling he could potentially be going to the Brooklyn Nets. But yeah, Mike D'Antoni, who knows? It could either go really good or really bad because of, how defensively great the Pelicans are. Maybe that won't really work into his strengths. Maybe they do need a defensive-minded coach that can just go about it like that. But honestly, I do believe maybe an offensive-minded coach like Mike D'Antoni would definitely be able to teach a lot of these younger players a lot more, things. And considering his offensive strategy in the last kind of couple of years has been give the ball to James Harden, you might not think he's exactly the greatest offensive coach, but he's been an offensive-minded coach for a long time now and has done very well with a couple of teams. So, yeah, he definitely knows a lot of different offensive strategies, and again, I think he could actually be a pretty interesting option for the New Orleans Pelicans. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA news and NBA content. But also don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you guys think the New Orleans Pelicans should be hiring Mike D'Antoni to be their next head coach? Or do you guys think they should go out and get maybe Jason Kidd or Ty Lue or Kenny Atkinson, whoever you guys think it may be? Again, I'd definitely really like to know your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. But also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlog channel. And also don't forget to check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. And as I said, subscribe to my IRL/vlog channel and gaming channels if you haven't already. I'm going to be posting a lot more on those channels hopefully very soon, so definitely go do that if you haven't already. But as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.